Jump to this story. Let's get cultural. We have this one from thegamer.com. They say Starfield isn't woke. You're just afraid of the future. Now, many of you may not be familiar with Starfield. It's a video game, and a controversy has emerged because you can choose your pronouns in the game. Another game just came out called Baldur's Gate, which is also sparking some culture war outrage that I think is worth talking about. Because there was a funny meme, and it said, gamers are entering the culture war. You know, what's going to happen now? And it's like, Gamergate was the beginning of the culture war when people playing video gamers got upset over a variety of issues, including gaming companies paying media outlets to write favorable reviews for them. But this is what happened. Here's the story. Starfield has pronouns. Actually, Ian, can you explain what Starfield is?
Starfield is a game by Bethesda. It's their newest launch. So like Elder Scrolls and Fallout, this is the new one, and it's a space game where you can fly around from planet to planet and experience different biomes. Yeah. I think it's first person.
First new IP by Bethesda in 25 years.
You've actually been playing it, Kellen, you said.
Yeah. I've not really encountered any wokeness. I mean, the pronouns thing was already default to he, him, so I didn't even touch it when I started the game. But I'm curious what this article talks about because so far I've enjoyed it. I haven't run into any nonsense.
Is it like Fallout?
Exactly. So what Fallout 76 should have been, really? Except in space. Like, it just works well. You know, it's very in-depth. I like it so far.
They say shortly after early access began this weekend, a clip went viral featuring a bald British man screaming about how Starfield is desperate to remind us of the current day with its use of pronouns and body diversity. They say hundreds of years in the future, a universe that reflects the progress made within our own allows players to select the pronouns people in their lives choose to address them. This choice is respected and is an obvious component of making your character in the RPG's opening moments. So I got a question. Pronouns are only used not in your presence, or if someone's speaking about you with you not privy to the conversation. How does it work in a video game when it's a first-person game and you're involved in every conversation?
They'll probably talk about you in front of you. And
to prove they're doing it.
Z doesn't want to go over there anymore. Can you type in your pronoun, or do you have a list you can select from?
I think it's a list.
Dude, I gotta say, I watched the intro. I watched MF Pallytime play. I think it was Pallytime play the intro, and it was rough, man. It was like woke. It was like girl boss, this old woman.
Starfield was?
Yeah, is like the boss, and she has no charisma. And you're like, why is this woman the main character right now? And then this beta dude comes up, and he's like, I'm going to give you my ship for no reason. And that's the beginning of the game. And then it just dumps you, and it's like, wow, this is like...
Well, that's the beauty of the
really
game, is you can completely take a left turn if you don't want to follow that. That's how, that's how
Fallout, that's Oblivion,
right,
Skyrim.
Right, so you don't have to follow that storyline if it's rubbing you the wrong way. I like that having the option, you know?
Here it says, Starfield doesn't even push the progressive boat all that much, from what I can tell. Most of its companions abide by the sexuality of the player when it comes to romance, while going with the non-binary gender option will also lock you to a specific protagonist voice that can't be changed no matter how you might sound or look in reality. Which brings me to the next story, which is Baldur's Gate, which I also, I just started playing Baldur's Gate, and... this was silly, and I almost just couldn't do it. Sorry, whatever. I'm 37. The wokeness in this game was beyond, was almost just, I just, okay, look. Usually when I play these games, I just do like random character. I don't care. And the name will be like random letters, whatever, dude. It's a first-person game. You know, you're sneaking around. With Baldur's Gate, it's more of like an overhead, turn-based RPG. But with Baldur's Gate, you can be... When you're creating, you create two characters to start with. And you create one more directly and then one as a companion. And so I'm like, okay, Baldur's Gate, like Ian tried playing it. Yeah. I'll play this one. And so in the character creation, you can choose body type 1, 2, 3, or 4. I think there's 4 body types. There's basically thin woman, man, fat woman, and fat man. Or like wide body, I guess. Then there's gender identity and voice. So you can have like a type 1 body, which is female, with a dude's face and like a female voice, like, I don't know. Or you can have like a woman with like a dude voice who identifies as a man. Identity is actually a characteristic in the game. So you can take a totally female character in every possible way and then say identifies as a man. And I'm like, what is the purpose of this? So here's what ends up happening. I always just do like random character creation. Like, yeah, I don't care. Now Baldur's Gate is like D&D, so there's a lot more complicated choices you have to make. But let me just tell you something funny happens. In the woke future of video gaming, let me explain. When you play Fallout 3, and you can choose your character, male or female. If you choose male and then click randomize, it will choose a random haircut with random facial features and make a random looking guy. If you choose female, you can do the same thing. Random looking woman with random looking hair, like the hair could be long, could be short, could be spiky, whatever. You could have scars, you could have tattoos. But when you mix it all together, and I pressed randomized, the first thing I got was a purple haired man, big masculine man face with a female purple haircut, bright pinkish purple, with big boobs, who talked like a dude. And then I was just like, if the character can be male and female at the same time, random typically gives you something that is particularly, what's the right word?
Egregious?
No, like atypical, not normal. Like if you chose guy and then randomized guy in any other video game, you'll get some like random guy and it'll be like, hi, I'm a guy. You pick a woman, you're like, hi, I'm a woman. But with Baldur's Gate, it's like every character was some weird amalgam of male and female.
Yeah, I couldn't get my guy to stop looking like a woman. It was really frustrating.
And there's like, I press randomize one and it's like a dude's buzz cut with a female face and a super ripped man body, but talking like this, like a woman. And I'm like, identifying as a woman, but looking like a big ripped guy, or like the fat woman body with a big bearded dude's face talking like this. I'm like, it's just, look, it's one thing to make a character based on you, but the issue is when they mix it all together. And then when I was creating the next character, who apparently is like a main character or something, similar, it's similar. It's just like random features that don't mix, and it's weird. I don't know. It's just crazy. It's just pure chaos.
I kept hitting.
Other than that, the game's fine. I actually enjoyed the mechanics.
I wanted to spend no time on character creation, so I kept hitting random, and it kept giving me these I don't know if blasphemous is the right word, but these like things that were like abhorrent to react to nature. They were like horrible, and I just kept hitting random until a normal person appeared, and I took the first one I saw.
That's what I did.
Good enough.
I'm like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do with this. Like,
maybe it's just like it's supposed to emulate what game devs look like. They're building it off themselves.
people have pointed that out, that characters in movies tend to look like the writers of these movies or the graphic designers. Like, seriously, there's like a meme about it where it's like there's a woman and she's got like frizzy hair and glasses and she's like, I made a game, and the character is literally her, and it's like, okay. But this one, I agree with you. Abomination might be the word.
Yeah, hideous.
The physical characteristics that you get don't affect the character's ability, right? So if
Sometimes
it looks really ripped, it's not more strong than if it's not. They kind of stay about the same.
In some games, it matters because of hitboxes.
Mm-hmm.
Like how big your character is determines if someone is like attacking you. But not this game. This game is like a turn-based RPG with a bunch of different stats. The game's actually really fun. It's kind of like, I don't know, I'm only like an hour in, and it's a bit nonsensical, like random things are just happening, but I'm having fun with it, and it's cool mechanics, and I like the RPG style. It's basically D&D, but I almost turned it off right away when I'm playing this game, and it's just like I don't understand the purpose of identity in the game. Like, seriously, the character doesn't seem to be influenced or anything by this, but there was a funny meme which actually got me, I found after I started seeing all this stuff where a guy is complaining that he bought the game, but all of the dude characters keep trying to bang his dude. He's like, my character is just like a ranger guy, and all of the companions keep trying to have sex with me. Like, what is going on? Why are they all gay? And that was really interesting to me in this concept of where woke gaming goes. In most games, there was the protagonist, his allies, and then maybe his love interest, maybe. But now, because these games are becoming more open world and they want to entertain all identities, every interaction has to have a component of some sexual or romantic endeavor. Whereas games did not used to have that. They would have like one love interest that you could maybe. Right. Now it's just like, you made a guy character, well, all the guys are gay and they want to do you.
And do you want that in your video games? Like, is that,
Right.
do you want it?
Dude, I just
feel
want to
like
fight
if
a dragon,
you want,
man.
exactly. I feel like if you wanted it to be like, who are you in love with? You'd play like Sims 2 or whatever. You
Right.
wouldn't play this game.
That's-
It seems strange to me.
That's been my biggest issue with this. I could really care less. It's just like, tell me a good story. I want to play a good video game to learn a good story, not spend 15 minutes in character creation. Like, I just feel like they're hiring these teams to focus on love interests and purple hair when it's like, yo, like Tim said, I want to just fight the dragon, man. Like, come on.
Like, seriously, give it a try if you have the game. Anybody who has the game probably experienced this already. But if you haven't, I'm not suggesting you buy it just for this. I'm having fun with the game so far. It's like it's pretty fun. So it's a tad complicated in a lot of ways, but it's worth it. But just go to the character creation, hit random, and you're gonna go,
If it's anything like Divinity 2, there's a lot of combinations. So like one guy can squirt oil on the ground and the other guy can shoot fire at it and make it explode. So
yes, I believe you can do that.
That's what the game's all about for me. Not who is the character gonna have sex with, and it's rough for kids. Like if you want to let your 12-year-old play a game, you keep in mind, man, there's nudity in that game that you can turn on and off. And
the first thing it asked me when I turned the game on, I was like, "Do you want nudity? Yes or no?"
yes,
And yes is the default.
I said yes. but I was like,
I'll say this:
I don't
do
know.
not give your kids this game.
It's like real life
this is
Sodom
like-
and Gomorrah.
Yeah, look, the game's fine. Like the gameplay's pretty great. I'm enjoying it. It's a lot of fun. You like roll a d20 and see. I have some critical successes that are really fun.
Yeah.
But I would not give anyone, like any child in my family, my future child, or like my my nephews or nieces or whatever. I wouldn't give them this game because they're going to be confused by why the character, like at the character creation stuff, pronouns, identity, and all that stuff. That's creepo indoctrination. And so that story about Starfield's interesting. They're like, it's not even that woke. It's just in the future they respect pronouns. Bro, pronouns are cult garbage nonsense. Not even every language has pronouns. That's the crazy thing. It is your weirdo, Americanized, white liberal cult. That's not what the future is. Sorry. Have a nice day.
Yeah. From what I've seen with Starfield, like I'm trying to play devil's advocate here because to me that was only a tiny component was the pronouns. To me, they gave that project to a small team or 1 or 2 employees and said, have fun. I think it's a two-edged sword. For that same reason, I think the game's so great. I think they've had a lot of people just be able to create their own stories and like storylines that you can play through in the game. So you're going to get some weird stuff, but you're also going to get some really unique gems, in my opinion.
Do you think it's better than Fallout 4?
No. I don't think
4
it's
is bad.
Fallout.
I like Fallout
I don't
4.
think it's better than Fallout.
Are you a video game guy?
It's still good. I like it though.
No, but I think whoever made this game, Russia and China never would allow anything like this within like 1,000 miles of their border. And I think in America we have a really big problem with this sort of stuff, indoctrinating the youth, confusing them, like Tim said, at a young age about all these things that they shouldn't be thinking about. They should be. When I played video games when I was younger, it was like Wii Sports. It was just dumb stuff like that. Now you got all this. I mean, there is a vested interest that is pushing this, trying to push people down this path, and that path ultimately is about not having babies and doing freakish stuff.
Yeah.
Like Mario would save the princess. You'd be like, I saved the girl. There, my male, like my ancestral DNA is lit on fire because I saved the princess. But now it's like Mario walking in with his shirt. He's kind of sweaty, and like I don't want to see him pushing the princess up against the wall and like them making out. Like you don't need to add that stuff to Super Mario Brothers. And a lot of these new games are like, they're going so cinematic, but like to a fault. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I guess how many of these games or shows really need that component in it?
I don't think you need it at all, but I'm from an era where they didn't have it. So
Well, and I think it's because some people are just more, they expect sexually explicit content more casually all the time now. And
They're
I would blame
addicted.
that on pornography and the readily available access to that. I mean, people are like, it's not compelling unless you see this, but actually you guys are testaments to the fact that like video games were compelling when they had strong storylines.
they're for sure moving us to a game that's a movie that is a porn where you are the main character in VR, where you have an open world with abilities, but you can also have sex. Like that's where we're headed.
We're heading to a world which is going to be open world VR, anything you want at all. You're going to eat ice
Console
cream all day.
command.
You're going to eat chocolate cake. Now, like for the time being, the VR stuff that exists, there's no point in playing a game where you eat cake because you don't actually experience the dopamine hit from eating the cake. But once they get that Neuralink going, then people are going to be eating chocolate cake all day.
What about drugs? If they could induce like a dopamine reaction in your brain by taking digital heroin in the game, you're like, my character's going to shoot up jet or whatever the hell it is.
Jet. I think they make that. Yeah, that's what they do in Fallout.
They breathe it in.
I think that'd be illegal because
interesting.
it would cause the exact same problems. Triggering dopamine release or whatever would cause the same problem. If they artificially or through chemical induction, I think it would just cause you serious problems. They'd have to ban it, but don't know how you do it. They're going to go to like Neuralink drug dens where they're like, we can bypass the patch and the security features to trigger whatever feeling you want.
Yeah, because at first in the game you'll be taking the drug and then you'll be getting the feeling in real life. But then they'll be like, no, in the game you don't. It's illegal to take the drug in the game. And they'll be okay. I'm just going to stare at flowers in the game, but you're still going to get the feeling. And then they'll be like, we can't stop. Because basically clicking like looking at all your likes on social media is producing dopamine, kind of like a drug. Scrolling and scrolling.
Have you guys watched The Peripheral on Amazon?
Yes.
Negative.
Yeah.
So,
Wait,
you know
I
how
think
the-
so. Yeah. Yep.
And she's got that weird, like, it's almost like she's hungover when she comes out of the I forget if it's a computer game or whatever it is.
They're in like a branch timeline.
But when she disconnects, she's all disoriented and like weak and everything. So I wonder if we'll get something like that, even if drugs aren't related, that people are just so used to being in the VR when they come out. It's just a total shock to the system. You know?
Guys, I have a confession to make. Last night I went to go live Moss.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You deserve it.
And when I walked in, they had big touchpads, and I did not talk to a human.
Where?
Taco Bell.
Oh.
Live Moss, and I got a cheese gordita crunch, and it was delicious. It was worth it.
Have you seen their?
But I ordered on the kiosk.
Yep.
And then it just made, and they're like, they yell out my initials. DP.
They got your order right?
Yeah.
They
I
have
think it's
these,
kind of based.
But I'm just saying, like, this is like you're in the future, man. I'm talking like very soon. There's not going to be a counter. You're going to walk in to the kiosk. You're going to hit the buttons, and then it's going to go order 17, and then you're going to walk over, and it's going to open up, and the food's going to slide out.
I don't want some smelly, freakish, blue-haired, who knows, like Starbucks worker taking my order at 7 a.m. when I'm trying to wake up. Like, just give me my order, put that person to work on an oil rig or something, do something useful, and if you can't do that, then sucks. But we need an economy that is oriented around human prosperity, not around like degenerate freaks expressing their identity, handing me a latte that they didn't even do anything
But
to
I don't
make.
know that has to do with AI takeover.
Oh yeah, it does.
I mean, like the dudes
I
who were
want
working
full
there,
AI takeover.
but the people working there were not like you're describing. It was like a regular dude, and
Oh.
it's just like I don't interact with him though.
His labor is better used elsewhere.
Yeah. I think the issue, though, is there's a finite amount of better use elsewhere labor. So when we automate away all the low-skill jobs, what are you going to do with all these immigrants? What are you going to do with all these high school students? They're going to be locked in the Neuralink pod eating bugs, and they're going to be like, life is good.
I think the answer to that is A, having a shorter work week. I mean, you don't really need people working 40 or 80 hours a week, as so many are, to make this country run. You could have way more free time for the average American. That American that has that free time, I mean, I'd hope most people, God-fearing people, family-oriented people, are going to start new businesses. I mean, it's what's happening in China right now. They've got more millionaires than ever before. They got more billionaires than ever before, more people being lifted out of poverty, and their country's not going down a path of social degeneracy and lunacy and chaos like we are here. That's what's happening in America. China's going in a direction of actually increased prosperity for the average person, despite what you think of the characteristics of the country itself and what they value there.
I've heard that the way that they responded to COVID by shutting down annihilated their economy. Is that not true?
I mean, their economy did take a slight hit, but there's certain things you can't talk about on YouTube. They viewed COVID very differently than every other country viewed COVID.
We're going to go to Super...